Hi, everybody. Good evening. Gonna do some quick housekeeping before we get started here. Want to make sure, you guys can hear me. Kind of an important thing. Kind of weird, I know, right? Hear me. So just waiting to get some feedback here and make sure that I can be heard. Hearing. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing this evening? Can you hear me? Yay, loud and clear. I love hearing that. All right. Well, we technically have like a minute to get started, so I'm gonna have some water. See how everyone is doing today. Nice 8 p.m. if you're there on the West Coast. It is 11 a.m. tomorrow. Yes, I live in the future in Vietnam, so welcome. All right, guys, so, it's me, Tanya Marie Figueras Kraisingr, otherwise known as Tanya MFK, because it's much easier to say and it kind of sounds gangster. And that's who I am, right? So our lesson today is discovering your secret sauce, otherwise known as your USP. USP sounds a lot more boring though, right? USP is your unique selling proposition, right? That's what we call that in marketing. Ultimately, what makes you so special anyway? Right? What makes you so special? I mean, your mom always said you were special, but like, what was it that made you so special? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Knowing this, owning this, being clear on this is what is going to separate you from your competition, right? It doesn't matter how exact of the same thing you do. Knowing this one little piece is going to make you stand out from everyone else, right? That's how important this is. And most of us are in an industry where we're doing something exactly the same as someone else, right? And more times than not, what it really ultimately starts to come down to is ourselves. We're the one thing that's different because we're not the other person, right? So how do we show that? How do we push that? How do we really exonerate them? Just put it so up high that, it's clear. That's our goal, right? Knowing this is what's going to pay the bills. Okay, so we are going to review 5 things that you need to know. And then after that, I'm going to give you the exact steps to go through to figure this out. So we're going to do the 5 things that you need to know to start to develop your USP, to start to develop your secret sauce, that one thing that makes you stand out. Okay, so are we all ready? Is everyone ready? Type in the comments. Yeah, Tanya, I'm ready. Oh my God, so ready. Super ready. Yes, ready. Awesome. Okay, so number 1, big shocker, understand your target audience. Whoa! Conveniently, we reviewed that last week, right? So if you're sticking around, that was our lesson last week. We went through how to discover and research and define your target audience, okay? So we know who they are. And now we've been able to narrow them down. We have our niche. We figured that out. But now it's time to get to know them, okay? So we've determined, what school we want to go to or what job we want and do all those things. But now it's time to rub elbows and get familiar with them, right? So like I said, number 1, understand your target audience. We did that last week, but we need to understand them. So one of the first things to do is now to dig deep into that is to find out what emotions do they experience when they're looking for your product. Right now, this is going to change for all different industries. If you are desperately searching for a plumber, then you're probably in some sort of situation that needs immediate attention, right? You're probably going through a little bit of frustration, a little bit of chaos. The emotions they're experiencing while searching for your 24-hour plumbing is going to be slightly different than the bride who is searching for her next location, right? Her location for her wedding, right? There's excitement, there's joy, anticipation, right? All these possibilities of where it could be, right? So she has a whole different set of emotions. So it's important for us to really start to understand our target market even further by getting into what emotions they're experiencing when they're looking for you, right? Because this is where we're going to start to find our secret sauce. How do we come in and bring that? So some emotions to keep in mind, are they concerned? Are they scared? Maybe it's something they've never tried before and they're looking I don't know if this is a leap I want to take. Maybe they're upset, the plumbing thing, oh, this is so frustrating. Excited, confused, overwhelmed, grateful. Maybe they're renewing a gift card to your business, right? So they're very grateful. They're like, I'm so excited, right? And you're learning how and when to approach them. You know, in what manner, what place are we meeting them at, right? Joyful, relieved, passionate, apprehensive, you know, maybe do skydiving or like, oh, I'm not sure. How can you alleviate that? So these are some emotions to keep in mind. You know, which one of these might meet your target market and where are you able to find them in that? So this is a place where you know, even if you're offering the same exact thing as somebody else, if you start to understand these little nuances and these emotions that they have, this can be the thing that separates you from your competition, because you can hone in on that and meet them there and make it okay, or increase their joy, release their apprehension, whatever that is, right? So this is why it's a great thing to really dive in further to your target market. So last week we explained how to define them, how to find them, and now we're trying to get to know them a little deeper to find out how we can be special to them. Okay, so we're still on number one. The next part of that is, you know, why do they purchase what they do? You know, what is it that they're searching for? Why do they purchase it? You know, what's the purpose? What are they looking for? What are they seeking? Okay, and what needs in that do they need met, right? So a lot of times in this moment, what needs do they need met? We start to look at, well, the benefits and the bells and whistles of what you offer. But ultimately, what it starts to boil down to is something a lot more concrete than that. Maybe they need to save time, right? Maybe they're searching for your particular product because it's going to save them time. Or is it expertise? They're tired of looking around and searching around and they just need someone to tell them what's the right solution, right? So they need an expert in this. I can't do it anymore. Or maybe it's low cost. You know, it's very specifically like, I need something that's just not going to cost too much. I'm in the budget realm. I need this and it needs to be low cost, right? Quite opposite. Maybe they need luxury. I need it and I want it to be everything. It's beautiful. It needs to just feel right. I need to be pampered. I'm looking for the luxury version of this. Or is it trust and reliability? Right? I need someone who is going to cut through the bull, not give me any of the nonsense. I just need the honest opinion, and I need it to be reliable. I need it to actually happen, right? This is a big thing I come across a lot traveling, right? Just tell me how much it costs and just tell me it's not going to break down, right? Like that's a big part. So if you're trying to meet me as a customer, you can tell me how luxurious it is. You can tell me how much time I might save. I don't really care. I want to know that I can trust you and that it's going to not break down, right? Like we ran a lot of motorbikes here in Vietnam and Thailand. That's a big part of it. I don't care how fancy it is. I just want to know it's not going to break down. I want to know I can trust the person I'm getting it from, right? So again, you need to meet your target market. If they keep telling me about all the great fandangled extras, I don't care. You are not meeting me where I need to be. And I'm going to find the next seller rental of motorbikes who's going to provide me that trust and reliability, right? See that? And that's going to be their secret sauce. That's going to be their thing. Like, oh, I like these. They're trustworthy. They're reliable, right? So number one, understanding your target market, right? That's what we covered. We had to just really get in there and understand them a little more. The second thing we need to know as we're on the path to discovering our secret sauce is like, what's your thing? You know, like what's your thing, right? What are at least two things about your business that you're really, really good at? You know, you have kind of the whole plethora, the whole situation. You know, you're a baker and you make some cupcakes and you make cakes and you might make, some cookies. But of those three things, like what's the one thing you're like, oh, my specialty are like the flowers. You know, I can write happy birthday, but my flowers are amazing, right? Hone in on that. What is at least two things I'm just really, really freaking good at, right? What is it? Write it down. Okay. And what do you look at and say like, oh yeah, that's our thing. Like, that's totally what we're all about. That's our thing, right? When someone's like, you know, I'm just looking for someone that can, you know, make a dress, but it needs to be funky. And you're like, oh, funky? That's our thing. Like, that's totally us. Like, you are in the right place. We make dresses, we can make elegance, but man, funky, you are in the right place, right? So what's the thing that makes you look at your business, you step back and you're like, well, yeah, that's kind of our thing. Right? That's our thing. So identify that. And what's your thing? You want to be clear also whether your product or service is a solution to is like a new solution, like a new problem that people are experiencing. You're like, oh, this is new. No one's had to deal with this issue. this is something that can fix that, right? So usually like new products, or, even when ergonomics came out, right, in the 90s or so, dating myself here, that was a new solution to a new problem, right? Computer work, all these shoulder problems, that was a new solution to a new problem. It was hard for people to understand the benefit of that because the problem was new and the solution was even newer. So you need to also position there, right? Where am I coming in? Where am I meeting them? The other option is that we're a new solution to an old problem, right? You used to always do this, but now you can do this, right? I keep using the example of like CDs to like digital music, right? Now, if you guys were with me last week, I told you I was a really late bloomer with that. And I was like holding on to my 300 case CDs, changing them in my car, crazy. I totally was doing that though, right? So explaining this new solution, like, oh, digital music, like I wasn't getting it, right? So you had to explain, like, why is this, what's my problem? What solution is this to my old problem? And it was like, well, you don't have to lug or that thing around. You don't have to wait for a red light to switch your CDs. Like you can listen to music, all these great things, right? So are you a new solution to a new problem? Maybe you fix the iPod. That's a new solution with a new problem. Was, right? Or are you a new solution to an old problem? Right? So that's another place to really identify where you are. What is your thing? Right? That's the section we're in. Number 2, what is your thing? Another part of this is identify what are the fringe benefits to using your product or service, right? So we kind of went over that a little before. The fringe benefits, besides all your bells and whistles, are saving time. Am I saving money? Am I making money? Perhaps somebody makes money. Increasing happiness, right? That's a big one. Increasing happiness, improving relationships. Am I gaining something or reducing something, right? Maybe I'm reducing an investment, but these are the core things that people are looking for, right? So again, look back at the product through these lenses. What fringe benefits do my clients, customers get from my service or product, right? Save time, save money, make money, improve relationships, gain something, reduce something, okay? Under what's your thing, we're also looking at your competitors. What is their thing? Right? So if you're like, well, this is our thing, we make funky dresses. And you can look at your other competitors, you're like, well, I make funky dresses too, huh? Maybe I need to rethink what my thing is, okay? What is their thing? And what needs are they meeting for your same customers right now? So this is a really good evaluation because we can look at ourselves, we can say, oh, I'm so special, but we also need to look at the marketplace. What else is out there, right? And if we're all meeting the same thing, then we might need to flex and adjust to see where we can really fill that niche, okay? And how well are they meeting those needs? So they might be trying to meet the same needs that you are, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're great at it either. So you don't have to give up, and go, well, we're all doing the same thing. I guess I got to do something different. Also evaluate how well they're doing it. If they say 30 minutes or less and all the complaints are, it takes 45 minutes to get my pizza, then maybe that's your place. If 30 minutes is where you want to compete and you can really deliver on that, you're good. You're golden, right? They got a low score. You can come in and fill that gap, okay? So that's what's your thing. Number 3 things, we have 5 things you need to know before we get into the checklist. So 5 things you need to know to discover your unique selling proposition, your secret sauce. So number 3 is to look at the big picture as well, right? There's like we said, you want to also look at the market. I see how special I am, but what is the market saying? So while looking at the things your competitors might not be doing well, you also want to look at industry trends. So if you're doing, I'm going to look at my industry, so if you're really doing like Facebook marketing, okay, and you notice that your competition is only offering like 2 posts, right? Say you're posting, you're like, well, that competition offers 2 posts a day. I can offer 5 posts a day. Okay, that's definitely an increase. But if you are paying attention, you've also noticed that Facebook is changing the algorithm. The amounts of posts don't matter as much as the engagement. So is it really important that you can post more, or is it important that you can create more engagement? Because that's where the value is, right? So it's important, again, to look at the market. That was a little kind of more of a high level, but more specific explanation there, but it is what it is, right? So we get an idea of that. It's time for you to also look at what trends, what's coming, what changes are coming that might be a better place for you to position yourself, okay? So looking at the big picture. You also want to develop your USP into very clear and concise statement, okay? So you want to be able to explain it to a 5th grader. So get rid of like your flowery technical advice unless your market is using that exact specific wording. Okay. So if you're a techie and you're selling to other techies, then you can easily cut through the bull and like just use your tech language, right? But if you're a techie and you're trying to sell something to, you know, grandma and grandpa to be able to use and making something available for everyone, we need you to cut through the techie language. We don't need you to teach it to us. We just need you to use language that we will understand. And a perfect example of this is that we had a client who was running Facebook ads as a chiropractor. And as a chiropractor, they were like, great spinal I still can't even say the word subluxation. So I should be able to say this. My grandfather's a chiropractor. But again, that's what they call an adjustment. Okay. That's what they call an adjustment. But you're not selling to other chiropractors. You're selling to me who might have a back problem. Subluxation, or however you say it, doesn't mean anything to me. It means nothing. So tell me, spinal adjustment, or maybe more exciting, because I don't necessarily care about the spinal adjustment. I care about the results, right? So no more back pain. Now you're speaking my language. Now something's making sense. So what is your clear and concise statement of what makes you so special? We relieve your back pain in 15 minutes. Well, I like both those things. You're saving me time and I'm out of pain. It's clear to me what you do, and it's potentially clear why you're different than next door's chiropractor, right? Clear and concise statement, explain it to a fifth grader, get rid of all your technical jargon, know your market, okay? So moving on from that, you also want to, once you get to this point, you want to start communicating your USP everywhere, okay? I'm sorry guys, so develop your USP to clear and concise statement, that was number 4, kind of jumped around, sorry about that. Jump to number 4, and number 5, is communicating your USP everywhere. So once you've developed this, you've created this concise statement. You also made sure that your concise statement is very specific and honest, right? So if they can really get rid of my back pain in 15 minutes, like, you need to deliver on that, because you're not going to go anywhere if you can't. You can't just say vague, we're the best, we're the brightest. That's vague. Like, what does that mean? What is that? World's best coffee. What does that mean, right? Best, according to what? According to who? According to nothing. It means nothing. We need to be specific, really clear, right? So once we have defined that, then we need to start telling it everywhere, because it ultimately starts to become our brand identity. It ultimately starts to become who we are. It becomes our mission. It becomes what we stand for. Is this tiny little piece, right? That we think is like, oh, it's kind of one thing makes us different. That is the thing. That is the thing. Like, this is why we're special. This is why you choose us. And this is why you don't choose us as well. You also want to not just get everyone, you want to weed out the people who aren't your best customers. So if this is not what they're looking for, it's okay for them to go somewhere else, because you want the people who are going to be happy with your service, your exact needs is what you're meeting, right? That's who you want. That's who you are there for. So it's so important that we make it really clear. So not only that you know what you're offering and they know, but they know it's for them. They can see it and like, oh yeah, that's me. That's totally me. I have back pain and not a lot of time. I need that, right? So you want them to be able to raise their hand. You want to be able to call them by name, right? And just, hey, you who does this XYZ. And you're like, that's me. It's totally me. Okay. And then you start communicating that everywhere. So it becomes the face of your business. It's right dead and center on your website, in your marketing message. It just starts to become your identity, your brand, right? It's a big part. This is a big, big thing. And it's exciting because it's what people remember you by. And that's a huge part of this. It's, people who are driving by a store and maybe it's something they never need, right? It's like, I'm going to go with, in the States, guys, this is the best version I have for my stateside people, like Pearl Vision, or I don't wear glasses, right? Okay. But I know that there are places that make glasses in like an hour, right? And I know that's their thing. They make it an hour. And if somebody was like, man, I need some glasses and I don't have any time. Someone such as myself who doesn't utilize their services, I still know that's their thing. Like, they've communicated that and be like, you know what, Gina, I totally know a place. That's their whole thing. They do it in an hour. Boop. I've just helped this business by them clearly communicating what they do to me. that I can share it with other people, right? I don't even use their services, but I know what their thing is. I get it, right? So again, so important to communicate your USP everywhere, your secret sauce everywhere. Okay, so those are the 5 things that you need to know for sure. And what we need to do next is go through the steps, right? These are the steps to really find it, right? So I told you what you need to know. How do we find it? So the first thing is, like we talked about, make a list of what you know about your target audience. Just make a list of those emotions, their demographics, all those things that we've been accumulating. Make a list, like a real one you can see and look at and review. Okay? And number 2, I want you to make a list of all the needs that your product or service meets for this audience. Okay? So not just in general, but specifically for this audience. When you can look at them and you're like, okay, this is for, grandpas and this. So what's really important to grandpa is this, and that I meet that benefit. This matches here, okay? So make a list of all the needs that your product and service meet for that audience. And remember, there's a difference between results and benefits, right? So make sure you have those 2 clear as well. And describe your client. I want you to do this in the same section. Describe what your client is like after he uses your services, right? What does his life look like? What is he doing? What does he feel? So if we go back to the chiropractor, right? We go, well, after the service, he's relieved. Maybe he's back to work. He's jogging, right? Or if again, let's go back to grandpa, maybe grandpa's not working and he's not jogging, but he's not grumpy and he's back in his favorite comfy chair and he's going, I'm being so stereotypical, right? And he's going to play bridge. Is that what grandpas do? Something like that, right? Stereotyping, as you guys recall last week, is definitely something we need in marketing. Only place where it belongs. So yeah, we need to kind of say, what is that? What does it look like? It's not enough to just say, well, my product does this, but create that scene, because that's what that's the imagination they need as well. You need to paint that picture for them. So it's a really good exercise within this while you're writing what your product or service does, is to also play with what their lives are going to look like and what things they're going to be back to doing or first time doing when they use your product or service. Okay. Number 3, determine if there's a problem you can solve before a client purchases from you. Right. This is a really key one too. So again, remember, we're on our way to finding your USP, your secret sauce, what can make you special. Now, a lot of times when something as simple as maybe sampling a product, right? Something like, can I taste it before I buy it? And the other guy, I can't. So, which one am I going to go with? The one I tried and I know I like it, or the one I don't know, but maybe they have prettier packaging? Probably this one, right? So that's already a USP right there, or is there something, a trial run, money back guarantee? These are also things that help keep resistance from purchasing, right? So that's what we call it. So this is actually number 4. What fear and resistance solutions can you offer? So those are things like money back guarantee. Maybe it's personal assistance. Maybe it's product effectiveness. You're like, I can tell you for sure that this is effective. I can show you, right? This is a way to reduce the fear of that purchase, that resistance. This is meeting their objections. Right? So this also goes into sales a little bit. We talk about objections before they have them. Resolving a problem. Maybe there's maybe there's a problem you can resolve before they purchase further. You're like, look, I already took care of this. Imagine how much better it is if you have my service monthly, right? Or that may be. Free shipping, that's a thing. Sometimes that's an easy way to reduce resistance to a purchase. Trial use or samples of something. Or sometimes it's scientific research and results. You're like, I have some ironclad information right here that explains why you're better off using what I can offer, right? So that was number 4. What fear resistant solutions do you do or can you offer? Number 5 is, remember, 11 steps to get to your USP. So we went to the 5 things you need to know. Now we're 11 steps, a couple more steps left. Bear with me, guys. So number 5, compare the USP that you've come up with against competitors or industry trends. So you've gotten it. You're like, well, this is like, I can deliver pizza in 30 minutes or less. I'm amazing. And then you look and you're like, so can about 700 other places. And And is it that important? Maybe industry chains have changed and it's the slow food movement and everyone's like, hey, our pizza takes an hour and a half, but it's because we're growing growing our pizza in the field and whatever, and they're like, wow, people aren't really about fast pizza anymore. It's really about this. Like, is that important? So once you've kind of developed this, you're not out of the woods yet. It's time to take that and compare it, right? Look around. Where does this really fit? Then once you do that, you're going to remove, number 6, remove any USPs so any secret sauce, anything special about you that is already being successfully met by competitors. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't tell people you do it, right? This doesn't mean it's no longer part of what you do. It's just not the thing. It's not the secret sauce. It's not what keeps you standing apart. Because if everyone's meeting that need, then again, what makes you different? And don't forget, a lot of times that can just simply be you. It's your you-ness that does that. But we have to put that out there. We have to make sure we're clear. If it's my you-ness, my me-ness, I have to put it out there so loud and clear with like a horn, right? So I do that for my son all the time. So that's what we need to do. We need to get it out there. So again, is someone else meeting it? Is it really that special? Okay, so we're going to remove anything because we're looking for something unique and we're looking potentially to fill a gap in the market, at least with our uniqueness, with our USP. And again, or it can be a unique spin that you have. Maybe it still is the same thing, but you do it slightly differently. You're like, we do it, but we deliver it in a princess costume, or we, whatever it is. It could be that it's the same, but different, right? Same, but different. Just our own little spin on it that makes it just enough different that it's unique. Okay. So it could be that. Number 7, for each USP, this is a really good exercise, is just to kind of let's go back to 30 minutes or less. So 30 minutes or less, you write that down and you start to kind of conjure up the words and maybe even images that illustrate this. What does that mean? Is it speed, timeliness? It's, we'll go back to saving time, taking care of your hunger. I mean, I don't know. I don't do pizza, but you start there. Okay. You can tell it starts off kind of rough. And as you hone in, you're going to start to really create a picture and bring this idea to life of what it means and what it looks like if you really were to own this USP. Because remember, it's going to start to become your identity. So you want to play with it before you just run with it and see really what that starts to look like. Okay. So the other thing, number 8, is we want to ask others. We want to do some research, right? Do some research. So find at least 10 people that match your USP. Like 10 people, all it needs to be. We all know 10 people. I've seen your Facebook pages. We all know 10 people. And it can be friends, family, probably not strangers because that'd be really weird on Facebook. Ask them like, hey guys, I'm doing this, or maybe they're your friends and family, but you also know they meet your target market. You're like, well, I have a makeup thing and I know so-and-so uses a lot of makeup. And you're like, what would matter most to you? And you might be surprised. A lot of times we go on our assumptions. We need to get some feedback and they can say, well, Tanya, speed of pizza is really important to me, but honestly, it's the cheese. Like the cheese, if I know where their cheese is coming from, and you're like, what? I never even thought of that. Hello. So you want to ask, get some real feedback. Now, of course, if you've been in business a while and you have a list and you have the opportunity for surveys and all those things, that's a fantastic opportunity to do this well. But if you don't, it can be as simple as just finding a small little sachet of people and asking, okay? There's also tons of research on the internet available. BuzzSumo can tell you some things that are trending. I mean, it's just depending on your industry, there's lots of options. If you need some ideas, you can always post in the group and ask or reach out to me. I have plenty of things. Our Tuesday tools also always mentions, options and things to do a lot of market research. So ask them, say, which one of these matter most to you? And do any of these seem stronger than the other? And, what would you expect? If I say that I do this, what do you expect? And that's a real important one too, because we may say one thing and we have this idea of what it means, but when someone else hears it, it's like completely different, right? If any of you have kids, it's probably your everyday life, right? I say this, but what they heard, completely different. Husbands, wives, I'm sure, right? It's part of life. So it's a good thing. It happens in business too. So ask them. If I tell you I deliver in 30 minutes or less, what does that mean to you? What would you expect? Well, I expect it in 25 minutes. I expect it in 20 minutes. You're like, whoa, maybe I should say 45 minutes or less, right? So get an idea. So this is number 8, ask others, do some research, okay? Once we've done all that, we want to get to evaluate and analyze, okay? So we've compared it to our competitors. We've asked people, we've checked industry trends, we're feeling out our target market, we're getting to know them more, right? We've done all these things. We figured out if there's something we can do before we sell to them, if, to solve a problem. We figured out any resistance, how we can go against any resistance or objections they have, how we can calm those fears. We've looked at all of these things, right? And we've kind of honed in on what our special thing is. Like, I think I got it. I think this is what it is, right? So now we need to really go through it and say, okay, is it clear? Like, is this clear? Is it make sense what I'm saying, what I'm actually saying? Does it convey a clear, strong benefit? Because what we are offering and what makes us special can still be amazing. But if we don't say it clearly, if it's not clear what the benefit is, then again, we've kind of gotten lost. I actually met with a client today, and they do, it's an artist, and they help you choose art, because a lot of times you're like, I don't want to be taken for granted. I don't want to get pay all this money and find out it's just some fake print, and they help you do that. You're like, wow, like that's amazing. So is it better that they say we're special, we're different as an art gallery because we help you pick art? Or is it more special to say we help you from being taken advantage of, or we help you from paying too much for a fake painting? Like, that's a lot clearer. Okay, maybe we need some finesse on the delivery, but it's a lot clearer than like we help you pick a painting. I don't necessarily know what the benefit is right away with that. Right? Do you see that tiny little tweak right there? How that makes a simple difference? So again, does it convey a clear, strong benefit? Is it clear? Is it memorable? Right? Would someone be able to describe it to somebody else? Now this goes back to like I know it's not Pearl Vision, right? Like glass people, anyone there wearing glasses. It's another glass place, and I don't know, it's at least in California. I don't know where else, but anyway, an hour, right? Get your glasses in an hour. That's total lens crafters, right? It's lens crafters, lens crafters. I think that's what it is, like 1 hour. That's really clear. I can describe it easily to somebody else and say, hey, there's a place that you can get your glasses in 1 hour. Like, totally. That's what they do. That's their thing, right? So is it memorable? Do you have something that's easily conveyed and described to somebody else? It doesn't have to be memorable, like it's the catchiest, funniest thing, but that could be it too. It could be something like, hey, our pizzas don't suck. And you're like, okay, maybe it's not clear on delivery, but it is memorable. And maybe that's your shtick. That's your thing, right? Again, so everyone's unique and individual. You got to figure out what works best for you. But it could be something like that. It could be something simple as you're so odd that it is memorable. Perfect example, I use them a lot as an example, is Dick's Last Resort. It is a restaurant. That is not what they're memorable for. If you ever look them up, they're in Vegas, and I think there's another one in Florida. But I've mentioned them before. They basically, their staff completely insults you and humiliates you when you go there. The food, I can't tell you. I've never been, but I also can't tell you anything about their food. But I can tell you some of the obnoxious things they've written on hats and crazy things they've done just that I've seen through the internet, right? Because that's like their shtick. That's their thing. That's what's memorable, right? And they make it that thing. They capitalize on that. Maybe they have great food. Maybe they don't. Nobody really cares. They go for that, okay? So yes, even being a jerk can be profitable. Isn't that sad? But to each his own, right? So is it clear who you're targeting? Like we said before, okay? And remember, all we're going through, it's almost our last steps here, is what is our evaluation and analyzing what we've come up with. So is it clear who I'm targeting? I said, like, can somebody go, yeah, that's me. That's totally me. You've raised my hand. Like, is it like, hey, humans, and you're like, well, yeah, it's me, but it could be anybody. Or if it's like, hey, women in Vietnam who have, if you guys heard the barking dog outside, I have a solution for you. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm a woman in Vietnam that has a barking dog outside. Tell me more. That's me, right? So again, is it clear who you're targeting? Can they identify themselves? Do you know who it's for? Do they know who it's for? And again, like we said, maybe it is for someone else. And when that time comes, it's easy for them to go, oh, I know something that could be good for you. Oh, you're looking for an art store? I know an art store. I don't do art, but I know it's there because they've clearly displayed what they do and who it's for, okay? Another thing to check on this is it something you can deliver? So you might have gotten really ambitious and you're like, well, what if we say we can do it in 5 minutes and, it's going to be made of gold and it's this, and like, can you do that though? Can you do that though? So just make sure you can do that though, because otherwise shoot yourself in the foot. Bad, and when bad service and products spread a lot faster than good service. They always say that someone will share a bad story and a complaint that they had with at least 9 of their closest friends, where the average of sharing a good experience is with 2 at most, 0 to 2. All right, so keep that in mind. Can you actually deliver on this thing that you're saying makes you unique? And then lastly, of this analyze and evaluate section is it really unique? Is that special? So if we've done our job before and compared it to what's out there, then we can answer that. Can a competitor claim the same thing? Maybe, but I'm still different because of this. Or yes, they all are, and maybe it isn't that unique after all. And it's back to the drawing board, and that's okay. That is okay, because once you do find it, you can run with it. But if you waste your time with something that's really not that special, then you change your identity, your branding, everything to be like, we're also mediocre. That's no fun. All right. Lastly, guys, I said 11 steps. It's 10 steps. Sorry about that. So 10 steps. Bring it into your business. Like we said, this becomes the face. It becomes everything. So how do you bring this into your marketing message? How do you bring this into your strategy? If you're thinking about Facebook advertising, it's a lot of noise to cut through. They are not magic bullets at all. So it's important to cut through the noise of Facebook by being memorable, unique, making a point, because Aunt Martha's cat pictures are on there and somebody's getting married or had a baby or did something silly or whatever. And then there's also a bazillion other ads, right? So we need to know that we have a clear message, it's concise, it's memorable. So bring it into your marketing, bring it into your strategy, start to evaluate what you are doing in business against your USP. So if you've decided that our thing is 30 minutes or less, and you're looking at your business and you're like, okay, everything is talking about just our ingredients, and we're talking about how nice our cutlery is and how fancy our oven is. But really the one thing that sets us apart is that we deliver pizza so fast, then I need to evaluate this against these 2 things. I need to look at what we're saying and what's truly making us unique, right? And really push that. This becomes your brand identity. It becomes your mission. It's your thing, right? This is my thing. So again, 30 minutes or less, or look at something like, this company's like going out of business. But for an example, Toys R Us, before Amazon came through, what do they do? What is Toys R Us? Anyone know? Want to take a guess? Toys, right? That's what they did. They didn't sell Thai food and tires and anything else, right? It's toys. That's what they did. Or look at Walmart, who does sell tires and clothes and everything else. Do they push that? Do they push like, we sell tires? No, they're like, we're the lowest price for so many things, right? That's their shtick. That's their thing. Okay. That's their thing, is the low price. They don't focus on the variety. They're just like, yeah, we have variety. That's cool. A lot of people do, but ours is the lowest cost of all this variety, right? So that's their thing. 99-cent store. Before they became 99 cents and more. I know my examples are so outdated now, right? Before they did that, what was it? It was stuff. They didn't really talk about the stuff. They didn't say like, we have tools and food and decorations and God knows what else they have. And it didn't really matter. You just knew whatever it was 99 cents, right? Yeah. Payless. Thank you. Great thing. Like clear as day. That's a great example. Thank you so much. Payless, right? So those are, I know there's Payless like even in China and Thailand and stuff too. So depending on where you guys are joining us from, Payless. It's in the name, right? Payless. Like what am I going to get out of going to this shoe place? And it's called Payless Shoes. It's really clear. They sell shoes and it's going to be cheap, right? That's what their thing is. Their thing is about price and they do shoes. I mean, clear as day. You know, I am not going to go to Nordstrom shoe area and expect the same thing as Payless, right? Because Nordstrom that's not their thing. That's not their shtick. There's quality or fanciness, whatever, right? Their thing. I don't know what Nordstrom's USP is per se, but we all know that it costs more than Payless, right? So when you're also doing this, and always come back to it. This doesn't have to stick with you forever. So yes, I said it's important. It becomes an identity and all those things, but it also, just like us as people, our values change, our personality changes, things can change. So of course this can adapt and grow as you go along, as industry trends change, as what your business changes and adapts. But when you do start, you know, you start with something at least and be confident in it. Make sure you've done the clear research. You've gone through these steps and it makes sense, right? And go with it. And then always come back to it. You come back to it and see if that's where, you know, everything still is and makes sense, right? So, shoot, I ran through those really fast, guys. Sorry if I lost you a little bit, points 1 through 5, but you do have a worksheet and the notes. We've been going really late lately and I don't want to take too long. So yeah, does anyone have any questions? That was a lot of information. I know, questions, statements, or even anything specific about your business. Maybe there's something that makes sense here, but you're like, well, I get this part, but for my business, I sell fish and I don't understand how I'm different than the next fisherman. Whatever that is. We got a couple of minutes to go here. Yeah, so finding out what makes you special, guys. I'm telling you, understanding what separates you from the competition is the thing that's going to bring the money. Because otherwise, all you have left really is competing by price. That's the only thing you have left. When you don't know who your market is, you don't know who these things matter to, then all that comes down to is price. Because someone's going to look and say, well, it's same. So the only difference I can see is that they're $39.99 and they're $129.99. So if they're the same damn thing, why would I pay more? I mean, come on. I mean, humans, we're down for a deal, right? Why would I pay more? So if you haven't made it clear why you're different, why this $129.99 is 1,000 times worth it and stands out, then they're going to go with the other one. You know, or you're separating a market that you haven't really been able to explain yourself to. So, okay, so Stephen asks, how do you put your USP into everything? So once you've determined the thing that makes you different, it's going to be on your website, right? So, and going back with the example I had today, there was a gal who has this amazing concept of, you know, helping you choose their art. And not being taken advantage of and choosing like proper, you know, the right things. But when I went to her website, there was the story of how they started and what they've been trying to do and that they have classes, and like this mission was like 3 paragraphs down. Like I had to search for it. And when I saw it, I was like, well, this is amazing. This is unique. But it was nowhere to be found, and not everyone is going to spend that much time. So make sure it reflects clearly and quickly on your website, on your Facebook pages, in your messaging, your slogan, you know, wherever it is, it becomes what you talk about, what you are. So you start to put it into everything as your content or what you put out there, right? So, you know, I make it really clear that if you come and learn from me, you're going to get a little attitude. There's going to be a little sassy. I'm not going to sit here and like, well, today, guys, number 1 is it's not going to happen. If you can't handle like the fast talking and my sarcasm, like I'm not for you. And that's okay. There's plenty of other people who do exactly what I do. And that's all right. I am me. And that's what makes me different. And that's why you might be listening to me and not somebody else. Okay. So I would say that's how you really start to put it into everything, is make, you know, it's all your content, your slogans, your messaging. You know, this is what we're about. This is what we do. Like, hey, what's your thing? This is our thing. And we do all this, but my thing is this, right? This is my deal. Like, oh, I think an example, like I'm into I'm into hip hop, right? That's like my thing. And so I do all these other things, but like all of my style and my dress and my music and the posters or whatever I have, like that's all in there because that's like my thing, right? That's my thing. And it reflects everywhere in that, even if you're into different things as well, but it starts to permeate into there, right? So even if you're into art, you know, your art might be reflective of hip hop culture, something like that. It was really kind of a vague one, but you're kind of feeling me out here, right? Is this making some sense? It needs to just be everywhere. Instead of just saying that's our thing and mentioning it once, you need to really put it in there. Like, this is what makes me special. This is what my mama said. It's what makes me special, right? So yeah, guys, USP, super important. So if you've been following along, we started with understanding your niche. You know, how do you find what you really want, who you want to work with, what you're really doing. And then from there, we went to target market. So that was the last lesson, was identifying who these people are. What do they need? What do you do for them? And and who are they specifically? You know, when we say it's everybody, yeah, but nobody. And it's not everybody. Not everybody buys art. And not everyone who does buy art buys the same type of art. You know, some people want photography, you know, photos, and some people want paintings. And even of people who want paintings, some want abstract, some want landscape, some want, you know, whatever. Okay. But so they're all different. So it's not the same message for everyone. Your product isn't for everyone. Your painting isn't for people who like art. Right? Do you see that? Well, I paint, so it's people who like art. Oh no, art could be this glass. I could set it on a stool and be like, this is an interpretation of life, right? And it is, right? Is it half full, half empty? I don't know. It's half drank. So it's not, art can be anything, right? So it's not just for people who like art. It's going to be people who like specifically what you make with art, right? So it's time to get specific, time to get niche. And that's what we did. And when we got niche and said, this is what I do, then we said, who are the people who like that? And we said, okay, so this is who I talk to. Now, what makes me different from everyone else who does that? So if we do this one service or this one thing, we know who we like, we know what we do, but we look around and we're like, other people do that too. And more than likely they do, then we finally get a chance to say, like, okay, well, this is what makes me special and what makes me different. All right. So I hope that was helpful, guys. Yes, thank you so much. I'm so glad to see you, Ko. I do want to be in Laos soon. We're working on it. Working on those visas, man. Sometimes they're tough, but yes, absolutely. So yeah, thank you guys so much. It's so great seeing you all. Thank you for all your help. Again, questions, even if you don't think of them now, check them out later. We have the replay. Check out the YouTube channel. All my videos are always there as well. And we do have the worksheet to help you work this out. Okay. Have a great week. We'll see you next week where we dig into some new stuff. Bye.